Black excellence is regal, original, and true.
Welcome to the Dripping in Black podcast, where we celebrate Black excellence throughout the Black diaspora. Here's your host, David V. Lewis.
What's up, good people all across the world? This is the Dripping in Black podcast. I am your host, David V. Lewis, and per usual, we have another fantastic guest. Today's guest is Al Pete. Al, say hello to the world.
Good day, good afternoon, good evening, my peoples. What's happening?
Yeah, we got a pretty good one for you all. He has a great story. We're going to dive right in after we ask the initial question that we ask all of our guests. It's a simple but loaded question. That question is, who are they? So who is Al Pete?
Al Pete is a regal individual, the cool guy, original, definitely original person. I like to say I'm your cousin's best friend, your neighbor's, your favorite neighbor in the neighborhood. But yeah, that's me. That's me. I'm an artist, a creator. I'm a Black man, and yeah, Black man, definitely Black man. I've been promoting that a lot lately, being the fact I've been searching for some things, and I've been getting some acknowledgement. So definitely a Black man. I am a Black man for sure, and I'm a king for sure.
Yeah. Well, all of that works for the Dripping in Black podcast. That might be a prerequisite.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, well, you are definitely dripping in black. You have a lot of things that have happened, and so I'm going to kind of kick in with what I've seen in your bio. But feel free to take it wherever you want to take it. We are here to share your story and shine a light on you.
That's
so, cool. In your bio, it talks about the MPN network.
Okay.
So what is that? Let the world know what that is.
So the MPN network is a developing, well, I would say established small media company based out of Jacksonville, Florida. We highlight creators, entrepreneurs, et cetera, et cetera. I do highlight a lot of hip hop artists, musicians, DJs, photographers, et cetera, just people in the community. And I formed it because I just wanted to have another aspect of media. So the MPN stands for Mr. Peterson's Neighborhood. It started with that years ago. And I would call that I would have like events at like a warehouse where I would DJ and just invite everybody. It would be like a neighboring type of party. But I was like, I really want to get more quote unquote corporate with my business. So I was like, I want to add a media factor to it, because I felt like a lot of creators don't get the media coverage that I would like for them to have. So I wanted to create this platform, so if anybody released the album or a painting, something like that, we can come in and really like analyze it and really get some informative information and give it out to the people. So it's an alternative media. It's a real alternative media space for sure.
Yeah. So give me a vision again. If I'm in the audience, and I can I say tune in to the MPN network?
Yeah, for sure.
Give me an idea of what a typical episode would entail.
So a typical MPN podcast, newsletter, blog, or whatnot, we'll highlight an actual person. So let's just say in this case, we'll highlight a photographer that shoots street images and does like street photography. So we'll definitely sit down with them and have them directly open up and be like, what makes you want to shoot that? Like, what do you want your people to get out of this photography that you're doing? Like, what's the angle of it? What's the science of it? What's the arts of it? Like, what do you want to inspire the people to do? Like, what inspires you? It's those type of questions that I feel like other creators and people that might not know much about creators or entrepreneurship and all that stuff, that they can get a really glimpse of what one goes through throughout a typical day, or a different, if they got like a project that they're shooting, what it entails, what it entails basically. So it's like a glimpse into what they got going on, but we kind of hit like the other questions that really wouldn't be asked in like moderate media form. It's like that whole cookie cutter action. We get a little deeper respectfully, and the hopes is just to get people influenced, because a lot of people have questions about creators and like how they do this, from like monetization all the way to how do you get the inspiration to even get up and do it. So we're here to be like, okay, well, let's give that information to these people, because somebody might really want to become a creator or entrepreneur, and they might not have the right, I call it warm and fuzzy way of letting people know how to get to that path. So these are the stories that we want to illustrate to the world. So
yeah, a very important thing to do at this time, because it's really kind of becoming the thing for people, right, to get into entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
When I was young, in my teens and in my 20s, the thing was to go to college, right? That was the thing you heard from everybody: go to college, go to college, go to college.
Yep.
And that's what kids that age, teens and 20s, really wanted to do for the most part. Now, the typical thing is to become an entrepreneur, have your own business and things of that nature. And so it's important to get those details out to people on how to make that happen, right? It's more than just a notion.
Right. And when I was growing up, I heard the same story too. It was from the male sides of the family, it was like, you ever, not even you ever thought about going to service. It was like, you need to get in the Army or get in the Navy or go into the Air Force. And then the women were like, you need to go to college, especially if you illustrated that type of behavior when you was in middle school, high school. If they saw that you did good grades or even artistic, they were just like, go to college. They didn't say, well, maybe I should have went to a art school, or or even get into the community and be able to build my monetization and my brand up, on some entrepreneur tip. It was always go to college. And it's like, that might not be the right method for a lot of these people. You know what I'm saying? And you can think about the funding part of it. The funding part, nobody has that money just sitting around saying, hey, I got $40,000-$50,000 to go to a state college, let alone go to like, a prestige college or whatnot. And, you have grants and stuff, but the education of that in our times, and I can say for yours as well. I mean, the education on like the money part about it was very, very low. So it's like, it's like we didn't know how to do these things. So, within like the NPN, I would like to get more into the financial aspect of things. And the monetization of entrepreneurship, because people might think, oh, well, you're an entrepreneur, you're a boss. And it's like, nah, you gotta, every dollar definitely counts. And then it counts more when you include the LLC aspect of it, or, and so it's that type of information that needs to be spread out through the community that I serve. And I really want to get it out regional, and then of course nationally for sure.
Yeah. And so you're a podcast extraordinaire, but also a musician. All right. So let's talk about that aspect of what you do.
Okay.
Your musicianship.
Musicship. So I'm a hip hop artist, DJ. I got into production a couple years ago. I didn't think I was ever going to get into production, but here we are. I still treat it like a hobby, which keeps it fun.
Okay.
But the hip hop, me being an MC is like my number one love. Absolutely love being a hip hop artist. And the DJing part definitely is good. From time to time, I do love the art of it for sure, because it adds to. It made podcasting definitely a lot easier. Like, when I got into podcasting, I'm like, oh, all we gotta do is this, and this. So I skipped like 10 steps when I got into podcast, and was like, okay, well, I'm gonna treat it just like music. And it's actually easier because I'm like, I don't necessarily have to, when you rapping, you want to have the lines ready, But like if you just know about the topic and you know how to speak fluently and keep a conversation going, then it was just easy. So I skipped a lot of those steps. But back to the musician part, I mean, you know, when I grew up, I played piano. I learned how to play piano first, and then I play alto sax. So I know how to play alto sax, baritone sax, piano, and I'm at some point I'm gonna get into guitar, but that's where the music part comes in at. And then you know my both sides of my family were heavy on the music. We had the contemporary R&B gospel on my mom's side, and then on my dad's side it was a lot of jazz, and then my uncle introduced me to hip hop. So you marry all those together and then get inspirations from, you know, when I went to college, you know, being in adulthood and just being in different scenes. You add on like the reggae, the funk, you know, that type of stuff. So that's where the music part comes in at.
Yeah. So this is my first time actually meeting you. You have met with my producer, Sean Smith at Squared, and that's how we brought you on. But tell the audience kind of your background. Where are you from, and your upbringing and things of that nature.
Okay. So I'm from the Jacksonville, Florida. I was originally born in Tacoma, Washington, but I was only there for, you know, a spell. But home is Jacksonville, Florida. I'm a military brat, so my dad was in the Army, and my mom was in, you know, she works in government. So we traveled a lot. We stayed in Germany for like 2 or 3 years when I was young. Then to Tennessee, to Texas, but like home base is Jacksonville. Like my mom and my dad's side of the family are all from, you know, the stationary part is Jacksonville, and then we got family in Georgia and South Florida that make up the both sides, but the home base is Jacksonville, Florida. So I'm Duval County. Yeah, man, grew up with my mom, grandparents on both sides. Just a, you know, a typical kid, just very inquisitive about things. Music really grabbed me. Like music really just grabbed me from the jump. One of my favorite subjects is English. So you know, I write poetry, and then when I realized, I'm like, well, you got this hip hop, and I'm like, they infusing jazz into it because I hear the tones of it. And then I could put like poetry to it and to a rhythm. And I was in the band as well. So I started in the band in 5th grade. So I played all the way up until college. And so you merge all that stuff in together. And you really have like a high percentage of who Mr. Alpede is, for sure.
Yeah. So when did you first start playing music? At what age?
First grade, second grade. That's when I learned the piano. I didn't jump on the saxophone until like the 5th grade. 5th grade was like kind of like a trial and error because I really wanted to jump on a trumpet, but my uncle made it cool to be on saxophone. So like my 5th grade going out into, you know, into getting into 6th grade, saxophone was really tapped into me. So, you know, I was what, 11, 12-ish when that happened. So,
yeah. And so you take up these instruments. When do you feel like I'm, you know,
you know,
when is that moment?
I noticed I was good when, because when I went to high school, it was a requirement for us to go to summer band. Unless if you weren't working or you had something else going on, like, you know, it was recommended that you go to summer band. And I didn't go to summer band because I went to Texas with my dad for the summer. By that time, my mom and dad had divorced, so I was spending my summers out in Texas. And so I was gone the whole summer. But then when I came back home and I played, they gave us, you know, the music, and I read the music and I played it. Like first time saw it, I just played it. Because I'm trained by like paper and by ear. So so, you know, I mixed both of those together. But then I became the freshman section leader of the saxophone section. So I was like the section leader over like the freshmen. And everybody was like, well, how did he get that if he wasn't in some school? But it was just the fact that I was, you know, that I was talented in my work. And that was like one of the first times I was like, wow, I'm pretty good at this music stuff. And of course, I just got better and better and better because I was in symphonic season, concert season, jazz season. So I was in it like all throughout the year. Even when I went home, I would just play. My parents, well, my grandparents had like a shed in the backyard, and it was like kind of soundproof. So I would go in there and practice and just study and listen and stuff like that. So that was like the first time I was like, yo, I'm pretty good at this. And then it just got kind of better and better at that time.
So you are pretty much a performer, and then you pick up hip hop. At what point does hip hop kind of get infused in this, and specifically the MCing part of it?
The MCing part of it. Okay, so that might have popped up in like 10th grade.
Okay.
In 10th grade, was heavily influenced by like Tribe Called Quest, Wu-Tang.
Okay.
And just, KRS Ones, the Big Daddy Kanes, that type of stuff. That LL Cool J. That's all I was listening to down here. So I was just like, I was writing poetry. And I was like, well, maybe I can infuse this in, because my uncle rapped as well. My uncle rapped, and he had like a crew or whatever. So we used to be in the rooms when they be like picking beats and flipping beats and stuff. So I'm like, and I thought the world of my uncle. I thought the world of him. So a lot of the things that he did, a lot of the way that he dressed, the way that his thought process and everything, it just it rubbed off on me. And so hip hop for sure rubbed off on me at a young age, but then like around like 10th grade, I was like, yeah, let me try this out. So then, I got with some friends, and we wrote over beats, and, we would go to the studio and go from there. But that's the MC side, definitely 10th grade for sure.
Yeah. So now let's talk a little bit about where all of that is now, your musicianship and, your hip hop career and the things that you're doing right now with regards to those things. Yeah.
So now, shouts out to Sean. Sean will remind me I remember that the clubhouse where he was like, "You open up for Boys to Men?" Like, man, what you talking about? Like he went off on me that day, and I really appreciate him for doing that, because it made me it put things into perspective. Like, it was over 10,000 people in that crowd, and that was my first. That was my biggest show that I've ever done to date. And I had to remind myself that a lot of the albums that I put out, the DJing that I did, just being in my community and really supporting them and being a champion for them, all these things like got me to this stage. So which makes me want to like do more and more and more. But I'm thankful for that, and I'm thankful that that one particular situation that happened in April made me just realize like all the things that I've done. I mean, I've released, so many albums. I think about, I think about the anniversary of these albums, and I'm like, I have albums that are like 10 plus years old. And I'm still like relevant, in my community, still relevant and, independent wise. So I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful for like all that hard work that I've done. And I just have to, I keep saying that because Sean was that one moment where I was just like, yeah, Pete, you've been doing a lot, and you should be like very proud of what you do, because it speaks to your character, it speaks to the community that you speak for. It's influential, and I'm just thankful to be in that place.
Yeah. So give us your stage name. What's the stage name that you go by?
No, the stage name is Mr. Al Pete. It's but usually people just call me Al, or they say Al Pete, but the stage name is Mr. Al Pete. Yep.
Okay, Mr. Al Pete, and you've had albums since you said nearly a decade old.
Oh man, I want to say the first album that I released was 2009. That was my first album, and that album. So I know I celebrated 10 years on my third album, Fish in the Forest, in September. And then I have a 2-year anniversary for an album that I dropped on the 17th of this month. So I've dropped, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so it's like my 7th album. that I'm
Okay.
celebrating the 2 years on. So
Okay.
yeah, so all these, the albums before, the first one I dropped is like in 2009, and
Okay.
it been rolling ever since.
Yeah. So Sean wants you to shout out your uncle, and I want you to shout out where they can find your material. So give
Okay.
the audience that information.
Yeah. So my uncle, his name is Trusky. Trusky,
Okay.
Trusky the Transmitter. He's a producer as well. He's a artist as well. And as far as with my music, you can get my music at mralpete@gmail. So that's
Okay.
MRALPETE @gmail.com. And if for MPN management, MPN network, you can go to mpn-llc.com. Some of my music is on there, but it's kind of blended in with like other musicians, other people's work that we've showcased.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I got another question that S Square wants me to ask you, but I'm interested about these a couple of other things first.
Okay.
So I noticed in your bio about the fly socks and tees.
Yeah.
Tell the world about that.
So Fly Socks and Tees is an event. It's a sub brand of the MPN network. So it started off with started off as a birthday party. It was like a summer party. My birthday's in the summer in July. And it started off as, you got to have an Al Pete birthday bash. And I'm like, so we did it. We did the first year, and a lot of people came out, and I was taken aback about that. It had to be about 400 people came out, and I was just like, wow, like that's pretty big. And after the second year, the third year, people came out, and the thing is, you wear a novelty T-shirt and you wear some socks, like some long socks, some cool socks, and we decided that because that's like two of my favorite like clothing items. So it was like, just have everybody, because I didn't want no typical party. I was just like, I want to be creative. I want to do something original, stuff like that. So that's why it's called Fly Socks and Tees. But after like the third year, I was just like, look, stop bringing me the birthday cake and doing the happy birthday stuff. I'm like, this is for the community. This is for creators, entrepreneurs. We all come out and just have a good time, celebrate the summer. If you did something in February, let's celebrate in July. If you did something last year, let's celebrate it. Like, it's a big encouragement for people to come out and just really have a good time, network with people, and just really like let our hairs down. Because in my mind, I feel like August is like the beginning of the year for me. Like, I treat it like school. Like, when you go back to school, school usually starts in August. I'm like, so for me, my new year starts in August. So I'm like, that summer. So the summer event, it just became like the summer event that we do here in Jacksonville. And I'm like, let's just get everybody together. Let's have a good time. And then once we finish, we can get back into like working mode and then work about the next year. So this one that just passed, that was year 9. So we're gearing up for year 10, which will be next year. Year 10.
Oh man, you put another thing on the Dripping in Black calendar. That sounds like something we supposed to be at.
Listen, I would like, I'm trying to get like the date and everything together. I would like to have the date by like, I say New Year's, but I'm trying to have it by like November, so I can get people to have a good enough time to plan. Like, and I really want the people who I've met a lot of people in this digital world, and I really want them to come down to Florida and just enjoy the weather and whatnot. Because a lot of people I've met, they're up north or further away, but I really want people to get a good bit of time to get down here, because I just really want to share with like the world. And if I need to bring it up the way y'all at, I could bring it up there too.
Yeah, we definitely gonna have to talk that one through, see if Dripping Black can come through and support and give you some of that Detroit swag. And we got fly socks out here. I don't know if y'all ready for that.
Hey, let's I want to see it, man.
Yeah. So the other thing is the Groove Suite. Tell us about that as well.
So that's another sub brand of the MPN network. So I will let you guys know that, and I'm letting the world know too, but like Groove Suite is like really, really my baby. Like, that's really the baby, because it's dealing with music. You know what I'm saying? It's one of the favorite things outside of hip hop that I love is like I'm a big neo soul junkie. Like I'm a neo
Mm,
soul, soul, and I say neo soul to put it in perspective, and then
mm,
you could break it down a little bit more to like the soul, and then like to
mhm.
the R&B. Not necessarily. I like cookie cutter music, I do, but I just really like I I really like soul music. Like, I mean, will I listen to Tank? I would, but am I
Mm,
gonna listen to Music Soul Child? Absolutely.
mm,
Am I gonna listen to
mhm,
Badu? Absolutely. Am I gonna listen
mhm,
to Ari Lennox? For sure. You know what I'm saying? So,
mhm,
but the Groove Suite, you know, that's our niche, the neo
mhm,
soul music. I mean, and
mhm,
even the hip hop, but the hip hop, it gotta be the typical the conscious rap and stuff like that. So that's like the
mhm,
niche, but I open it up for people to be welcome to come in and like, listen, this song here, if it's a reggae song and they got a groove to it and it got some
mhm,
meaning and it's a good feeling, bring it on in. Let's talk about it. Let's enjoy it and go from there. So, but that's what the
mhm.
Groove Suite basically is. It's basically music based, and it's it's on the educational aspect of it, like the fun part about it.
Okay.
Like we talk about like the fun facts of it, like who produced it. Like we're always shocked about who produced this song, who wrote this
Mhm,
song, who played the guitar, stuff like that. So we get into like the liner notes. We really
mhm.
get deep into that, but we really just listen to music, share music all the time, but just really have a good time with it.
Yeah,
That's like
man.
my baby. Like Groove Suite is I can't say it enough. Like it's my baby.
Well,
Oh, it's my baby.
I'm gonna tell you, I'm impressed with how you using your 1440. You got 1440 minutes in a day, and it seems like you maximizing them bad boy.
Yeah.
A typical day in the life of Al Pete is what? A typical day in the life of Al Pete is what? Mhm,
Typical day in life at Pete. I wake up and I try to do some type of affirmations. Um, I give myself an allotted time to like start the day because I know I
mhm,
probably went to bed with the rest of the week on my mind. Like I'm gonna do this, this, and this. So I try to
mhm,
give myself a little bit of affirmations, a little bit of peace, and a little bit of a grace to myself. So
mhm,
I definitely do that every day in some form of fashion way. Usually go on my patio, listen to some music, um, eat some fruit, light an incense, just kind of be still for the moment. And
okay.
then of course I work throughout the day job, MPN, but I'm majority of my day is focused on like podcast work, you know what I'm saying? Because I am
Mhm,
an audio engineer for my day job.
mhm,
So I'm listening to podcasts every day. I'm recording podcasts
mhm,
basically every
mhm,
day. So I'm just listening to people. I'm listening to people talk about certain avenues and stuff. But it's still something that I love to do. But I
mhm,
do the main thing about the day in the life of Al Pete, I definitely like been more focused on being thankful for the things that I've been blessed with. Um,
mhm.
so I do that in the daytime, and then I do it in the evening. I've been going to bed early lately too, so just to give myself, yeah, like because I mean, just or even just some time to like watch TV. Like I've been trying to incorporate like just relaxation a lot more because I know I work a lot. My brain is like thinking
Yeah.
about the next thing, trying to tighten up, communication, um, trying to solve problems, trying to be a caring person, trying to be an activist in my community when it
Yeah.
comes to hip hop and just the entertainment world, because there are some things that are going on in the hip hop world that I don't too much care for, but I can try to be an advocate for to show a better way. So I'm
Mhm,
always, I'm that's when the neighboring comes in at.
mhm.
Um, yeah, that's a typical day. That's a typical day at Al Pete.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm just impressed. You have the MPN network. You have, the subsidiaries of that network will have their own personality on itself. You
Yeah.
got your musicianship that you're doing. You DJ, right? I know we kind of brushed over that, but talk a
Yeah.
little bit about what you do DJing wise.
So I got into DJing because I mean, being transparent. Well, no, my uncle. I went to my uncle because I didn't have money to go to the studio, and by
Hmm.
that time I had a kid, and so I had to, my money went to that, and
Yeah.
My friend, we used to throw parties all the time, like just like Friday parties, me and my friends, cousins, or whatever. And I would act like I was a DJ in front of the boombox. So I would like play a song from the CD, switch it. You know, listening to so and so. So I stumbled up and got $1,000 from. I won $1,000 from Dibk's morning show because I was a temp caller. So I got that money and was like, you know, being a black man at 23, 24, you like, I'm finna go buy some clothes and look cool when I go to the club. And I like my son already taken care of, but I was like, yo, just go buy some DJ equipment. So I bought some DJ equipment and I DJ'd a wedding like maybe like a month later, and then it's just been word of mouth ever since. So I, so DJing, I really was in it because I needed money basically. Like I knew I could go and do a gig, $300 and then be able to bring it home, buy my son some shoes, buy some groceries, keep the lights on. But then, the more I got into it, I was like the musicianship of it and just the culture of DJing is like it's so deep in it, and you realize like these people are looking at you to like keep the party going, and it just amazed me how like that power, that type of power for DJs, you know what I'm saying? And I just respect that totally, especially with like, the music that you play. Like you can shift these people's emotions here and there. And it gave me a skill that I never thought that I would use. So but DJing has taken me a long way. I mean, I've all the way from paying my son braces off to what I'm saying, to be DJing for like prominent politicians here in Florida, not just Jacksonville, just Florida, you know what I'm saying, and DJing these like elite events, and people, I've done so many weddings, and I see these people to this day, and they like, man, I remember that reception was like the best, and that brings a warm feeling in my heart. And so I just started respecting DJing a lot more after like my 4th or 5th year doing it, and I wanted to get deeper into it, hence why I did the Tables Might Wobble podcast. So that podcast is all about DJing. Like we talk about the science of it, and I interview a lot of my friends. We just talk about DJing or whatever, because I feel like people need to understand and learn more about what we go through and just appreciate it more. You know what I'm saying? And even with that, to even get deeper, just to talk about like Black DJs and talk about Black women in this space, you know what I'm saying? I haven't really got into that. I'm getting into that in season 2, but I really want to get on that part because I feel like our voices need to be heard a lot more.
Yeah, and there's a birdie in my ear saying you want some kind of award from that particular podcast. Let the world know about that.
Yeah, man. So I was honored to win the Best Black Music Podcast Award from Black Podcasting Awards that happened late September. So I won that award, and I'm very honored that I won it. I put a lot of work into it, man. So it's funny with that, because all the stuff that we've talked about, from the MCing side to the neighboring side to my experiences DJing, to where I would like to see other people, you know what I'm saying, get to, or not, or just be able to hear the stories, you know what I'm saying. It was all poured into that podcast. It was all poured into it. So it's hip hop influence. I did the sound design on. I did every piece of it except design the cover, but I did everything, and I wanted to do that. Well, I asked people to help, but I just did it myself because I just didn't get the help I wanted. But I had to believe in myself to do that, and
absolutely, I
was just proud to be able to like put this piece of work together. From my perspective, because people know that I'm like this big hip hop fanatic, and I sometimes I don't even have to say it, but people look at me and be like, "Yeah, you hip hop," and you just really ooze out hip hop, and I was glad that I was able to tell that story and people understand it, and then to be awarded with that, yeah, I'm thankful for it. So I'm ready to get into season 2 and really get into some conversations and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to link you up. I have a young cousin, female DJ. She's new to the game. I think she's been doing it a few months now.
Okay.
But pretty dope. So we'll probably have to talk offline about that.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. So I mean, again, I'm even more impressed with how you are able to juggle all these variety of things. I call you an African Army knife. They say the Swiss Army knife, but I'm gonna call you an African Army knife, and I think
dig
that
it.
fits since you're a military kid as well. For
Yeah.
all the variety of things that you've done. I think I want to ask this before I get to the most difficult question that we ask each and every one of our guests.
Okay.
What is it about pop? So you got into hip hop at an early age. You got into the musicianship at an early age. What drew you into podcasting in that space?
Oh man, a friend, one of my old co-hosts and a friend, she was well, she's still kind of part of it. Spiritually, she is, but she was a co-host for the Groove Suite podcast when it first started.
Okay.
And I was DJing at a spot. It was a spot down here. It's like a cigar lounge, but it was a place where like a lot of black professionals came. Like,
okay,
this is like the juke joint or whatever you want to call it, but like it was a spot where all the black professionals came, from like the black politicians all the way to like the musicians or whatever. And I had like 2 nights there. It was called Papa Love Smoke. And so Papa Love Smoke, that's where the Groove Suite birthed from, because I had that option to play the neo souls, the hip hops, and that type of stuff in there. And my friend Sasha, I met her through some folks. She came to me, she was like, yo, we should do a mixtape together. Da da da. I'm like, all right, cool. So I put it off for like 2 years. And then I finally got, we finally got together and did it, put the episode out, and everybody like loved it. And they like, so when the next podcast episode coming out? And I'm like, hold on, no. I was like, no. Well, we're not what this. Well, I'm like, we can do another mixtape together, but what this is not. It is not a podcast, because I don't want to get into podcasting. I'm like, I enjoy listening to podcasting. Wow. I enjoy it. Me and my friends were doing a podcast 2 years prior to the story I just told you. We didn't even realize we was doing a podcast. We would just cut on the cameras and like talk, but then we would put it like in audio form. We would put it in video form, but we didn't know that it was called podcasting.
Yeah.
So the technical side of that, I'm trying to make this short, but the technical side of it, I felt like we could have did a lot better with me and my homies. I'm like, okay, this is fun. We get together, we drinking and parlaying or whatever. But I'm like, we could be doing more with this. And I just didn't know what more could be done. But if I would have known that it was a podcast format, I probably would have, so I was kind of burned out by that. And that's why that was part of my reason why I was like, this is not a podcast. And so I was like, yo, let's just get into it. And then we did another episode, and then another episode turned to another episode. And then I was like, yo, okay, well, we doing these shows, we gotta create something. And then the Groove Suite podcast is like the first podcast that I put out of all the podcasts that's on like the network. So that's why, another reason why the Groove Suite is such a baby to me. And then ever since then, it was just like, okay, well, let me study. So I remember for like a year, I would just every day, nothing but podcasts. I would like look online, read articles, stuff like that, and see how podcasting works, this and that, blah, blah, blah. And then I just finally got into it, and the rest is history, so to say. But I did not like. It's so funny when I think about that. I remember vividly saying like, "No, I'm not doing no podcast. I am not doing it." But here I am with an actual career in podcasting.
A podcast chose you.
Well, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I want to be able to use it a lot more. I've helped a lot of like creators out or whatnot, especially Black creators. And I'm like, look, this is the time to tell our stories and be able to like own our own properties and stuff. So we need to, if I want to get more on the educational aspect of that podcast. And I want us to have fun in podcasting, but I'm like, look, we storytellers, and we got to keep our stories to ourselves and be able to like capitalize it, but at the same time too, just really like pass it down for generations to come.
Yeah, it's such an exciting space to be in.
It
You
is.
know,
It is.
I'm with you. I really want us as a people to tune into these things because there's so much out there. We really have an opportunity to control the narrative like in no other way at
Mhm.
any point in time in our history.
Absolutely.
And we can tell our own stories from stories like yours and, you know, contemporaries, and also true stories about our history.
Mhm.
It's just such a wide range that we can do, and like you said, and have a little fun along the way as well. That's just a great thing to do. So I want you to run down the various things that you are doing in the podcast world and where people can find them before we get to the final and most important question.
All
Yeah.
right, so we got the NPN network, and then we have the Neighborhood Podcast Network. So the Neighborhood
Okay.
Podcast Network is basically just it's a hub basically where you know I produce, mix, arrange, master, sound design, whatever needs to be done on the technical side of that.
Gotcha.
But I mean, but I do, as you know, I am a host as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I bring information to my people so they can be
Mm-hmm.
able to enrich their shows or whatnot. So,
Mm-hmm.
but I think the heaviest, loudest part about it is just the technical side. And I'm trying
Mm-hmm.
to get my people to understand,
Gotcha.
like, hey, I got all these toolboxes because I go to conferences, I get access to information. I mean, I want to share the stuff that I learned. I do a lot of like beta testing on
Mm-hmm.
myself as well as with other companies. You know what I'm saying? I'll do a contract with the company here and there, and they like test this out, this, that, and the third, and then I want to bring it to the people. So that's the roles that I play with the Neighborhood Podcast Network. The NPN
Mm-hmm.
stuff is definitely I'm the founder of it, and of course
Mm-hmm.
you have the Groove Suite, Fly Sauce and Teas up under that. But if you go on the website and go to like the shows, the brand NPN brands. If you click
Mm-hmm.
on that, it will show you all the podcasts that are on the network and or that I've worked on.
Mm-hmm.
And you
Yeah.
can just click the page and it'll take you right to the podcast and you listen to it.
Yeah. Give us that page one more time.
Oh, mpn-llc.com. So when you go
Yeah.
there, go to where it says on the top, it says NPN brands, and then you'll see the Neighborhood Podcast Network. And then you click on that, and then that's where all the podcast information is at.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So there's a few other things that I like to ask, but we'll have to save that for another time.
Okay.
You know, I think you have a great story. You've done so much in a multitude of fields. I guess it's media when it's all said and done, but to do music, to do hip hop, to have albums, to have podcasts,
It's a
you know,
lot.
that's all pretty impressive. And then to win awards while you're doing it says a lot about, you know, your ability and your story. So I'd like to just shout you out for that. But we must get ready to ask you the most difficult question that you've probably been asked in your lifetime. So you ready?
Yes, sir.
All right. Have you ever been on the cover of a magazine?
I have, yeah.
Okay. What magazine do you recall?
It was it was my homie's magazine, H4L magazine that he yeah, H4L magazine. It was a couple years. It was around, I want to say it was like year 5 or year 6 of Fly Socks and Tees. And he had me on his cover. And it's independently major. Like the podcast, the magazine is major. He's interviewed a lot of people, like a lot of well-known people. And then for me to be, on that cover, that definitely showed me like, okay, well, I'm worth standing next to these people. But it was pretty cool to be on that cover.
No, I'm just thinking about what Sean warned me about pre-show. I mean, this guy.
Oh yeah, that stuff. Yeah,
a magazine cover, and all these other people, and then I just happen to be on the cover.
Nah, but I mean, you just, I do the work. I'm focused on doing the work, and then I'm thinking about like the last like 4 or 5 covers before I was on the cover, because he asked me to be on the cover, and I'm like, all right, cool, let's do it. You know, we went through. I did a photo shoot for it. Like he did like an interview. It was a very beautiful spread that was done on me. But then when I actually saw like they mailed me like 2 copies of it, and I'm looking at it like, yo, this is crazy. You know what I'm saying? And then for my community, friends and family to be like, you know what I'm saying? This is like major. It was just it was a point in my career / life where I was like, all right, I'm doing something correct.
Yeah. Well, we are Dripping in Black, and we're not to be outdone. And so what we like to do for each and every one of our guests is place them on the Dripping in Black magazine cover. So S Squared Sean Smith is going to give you a sneak peek at yours.
Oh man, hey, look at that thing, man. Listen, I am honored, man. Wow. That's a cool thing.
Yes, sir.
It looks great, man. It looks great.
Yeah, that is a thank you, and that is also a parting gift. We'll get that printed out, laminated, and shipped out to you as a big thank you.
Wow. Okay.
Stopping by.
All right. So that I could put that up somewhere for sure.
Yeah, I would say put it on top of the previous magazine. Wherever you got the previous magazine cover,
man.
Put Dripping in Black slightly above it.
Okay. Nah, man. That was slightly. It's gonna stay right there. Listen, I've been following Dripping in Black, and I listened to an episode last night, Michelle with Looking Glass, and was very
awesome.
Very inspired about her story. I would have never thought those things about her, but I'm honored to be on this platform, and I think y'all doing a great job on this work and highlighting us. You know what I'm saying, as Black folks. I love it.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you for stopping by and coming out. Big shout out to Michelle Ronan as well. Any shout outs you want to give before we say our goodbyes?
I just want to thank any and everybody who clicked this, clicked it to listen to my show. Please go listen to the other shows. Support Dripping in Black. Special shout out to the CFO Challenge crew, the content creators of color. We're in the midst of the 30-day challenge, 30-day podcast challenge. So we rolling these shows out every day, like for 30 days. It's we doing the episode. So special shout out to them, man.
Yeah. Where can they find these 30 days of podcasts? Where is it found?
They can go to the letter C, the number 4 challenge.com. And when you go on there, it's updated daily with I want to say it's 10 of us. Might be a little bit more 10 of us, but it's 10 podcasters. So you can go in there and listen to the podcasters, and all the podcasts are Black. And it's a range of conversations. It's a very great range of it. And I feel like I'm talking about the music aspect of it. So I think it fits perfectly because, you might have, political talk to like mental health, wellness talk, and that type of stuff, Dripping in Black. So it's a good mixture. And then I come talk about music. So it's a good day full of music. I mean, a good day full of like podcasting.
Yeah. Well-rounded day of podcasting, and diving deeper into our culture, right?
For sure.
Yeah. All right. We want to thank Al Pete for stopping by. We want to remind our audience the Dibk Drip Shop is open. Go to dibkdripshop.com to get the latest Dripping in Black merch. And as always, a huge thanks to all of our listeners, viewers, supporters, and subscribers. And until next time, be kind, be loving, and be excellent on purpose. It is a choice.
Up next on the Dripping in Black podcast, we speak with Deanna Smiley, owner of VIP TV.
And we went out and did interviews with, everybody from Kanye West to Star Jones, Michael Strahan, Diddy, everybody you could think of. But we also covered like the NBA All-Star weekends and NFL All-Star, and was it Super Bowl and some of the private parties for some of the athletes. So yeah, we have some of those secrets as well.
Born is chain to chain, chain came with the chain. You get a stripe for a stain. You about to crash out your lane. The umbrella out of the rose was color, and know it came with the rain. Color no letterman, I've been a veteran, nigga do anything for a name. When you start getting a little change, watch how your partners and everything change. When you step foot in that field, make sure you jumping, make sure you got aim. My niggas they shooting the lil, I see some they shooting for fame. Nah, they don't know that this shit real. That's how you end up getting blown out your brain. The money, the car, the chain, the fame, I give up everything. Why? See my grandmother, see my peak of the drug, ain't heal all the pain. I get you knocked up for earth, you play with my body, you play with my name. I wear them up like he's surfing, if he looking strange, I pop at his brain. I'm rocking the watch with no diamonds in it, it cost me a ticket, it's plain. I put a gift in the paddock with time.
You have just experienced a Dripping in Black production.